everyone. Welcome back to the Kop Four. It is a beautiful Thursday. I hope you're all having a great week. A great week because Liverpool Football Club weren't playing. We got to a little bit of rest from getting battered week after week, even though we did have a good game last weekend. But a lot to talk about, a lot to go through. Obviously, Arne Slot will be staying at Liverpool Football Club next year. He's going to get a war chest of 300 million. He is going to bring us back to the Premier League, more than likely. And then there's a lot to talk about as well. There's going to be some big changes in the summer. I think that's something that we do have to talk about. The likes of Jones, Alisson potentially leaving. Marmadashvili as well. There was talks, as Brian told me 10 seconds ago. And is there going to be future incomings? Obviously, Diamante's been talking about. Gordon, we've talked a little bit about on the channel as well. So a lot to talk about. And then obviously looking ahead to Crystal Palace. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. But boys, how are we?
Yes, good.
Good,
mate.
Feeling good. No Liverpool game to ruin our mood. To be fair, we won the last one, so
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Saturday to get back into Premier League action. Maybe 3 in a row.
Wow, that'll be something.
Maybe.
Would that be like the first time this season that we've won 3 Premier League games in a row?
Since the beginning, since first 5, maybe.
Oh yeah, the first 5, yeah.
Not sure.
Shit, yeah. I wonder actually when that last was. That probably was the first 5 games of the season. The first 3 games of the season.
And somehow he's still being kept at the club. That is crazy.
To be fair, Liam, that's a good segue. We're going to be starting with Arne Slot today, folks. So, Arne Slot, reports came out yesterday that 2 days ago, Sky Sports News were saying Arne Slot will be kept in the job. Ornstein is reporting the similar, Fabrizio as well. So, listen, we talked a lot about Arne Slot and some of the frustrations that we've had. Let us know, as I said, in the comments what you think. We're going to be talking about that as well. But, is it the right move if the club feel it's the right move? Is kind of the question I had in my mind. But how are you feeling when you heard the news, I suppose? Brian, I'll come to you first. You're an avid Arne Slot lover.
When I heard the news, to be fair, I think I've been quite balanced on the whole thing. When I heard the news, I just really couldn't believe that they're actually going to keep this idiot in charge to start off with. But ultimately, as Liverpool fans and as obviously a Liverpool content creator, I'm so stuck by the fact we can't carry all this negativity into next season. So if the club's decision is to back him, ultimately the club's decision is to back him. I did see a YouTuber post a video about backing him, and I commented saying I'm never going to watch that video ever again. And this guy, I'm done with him. It's a 12-minute video on YouTube by the name of Jamie's Story, if anyone's seen him. But
you're one of the many haters.
But ultimately, look, I'll stand by my point. If he stays next season, as much as I don't want him to, I think it's the wrong decision. I'm just going to hope David Ornstein's wrong because he's been wrong about a couple of things, but I'll back him next season if he is in charge. I can't do this negativity again of this season.
Liam, how are you feeling? Or Max?
Go on, Max.
Max. Basically echoing everything Brian says there. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's the right decision, but there has to come a point where you just accept it and look forward and try to be hopeful and positive going into next season. When it was announced, I could believe it because I think it's been pretty obvious that it was going down that road. And if they were going to sack him, they would have sacked him at many points this season when it got untenable, in my opinion. But they've obviously kept him and got Champions League football. So let's see if we can kick on in the summer. I'm sure there's going to be loads and loads of changes. But yeah, it didn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I think we probably all expected it, didn't we? As soon as we get knocked out of the FA Cup, we get knocked out of the Champions League. All we have now is to qualify for the Champions League. And I think as long as we do that, because if we don't qualify for the Champions League, I think we can all agree, surely, the club don't keep him. So if we can qualify for the Champions League, which is looking more and more likely each week, I think he is going to be staying, isn't he? Like the reports are saying. But the thing that annoys me the most is that, maybe not even annoys, just confuses me, is that in October, when the form was so bad, all the reporters were saying he's not going to be judged on these results. He's going to actually be judged on performances. But now the results are bad. The results are good and the performances are bad. And now he's being judged on the results because he's getting his Champions League. It's just a complete contradiction from everything we heard at the start of the season. Go on, Brian.
I was just going to build on that as well. I think if you're also going to back this manager into next season, what better way than to put down a contract, which they had on the table, but took off the table as soon as the results started to go bad. So it is very hypocritical of the club.
That was actually going to be my next question. Like, what happens with his contract? You know, how does that happen?
Yeah, because it gets even more difficult. Like, if he's still here in December, but like it's still a bit rocky, do you just let the manager walk at the end of next season? Like, because then there's going to be conversations like last season when Salah and Van Dijk's contracts were running out, and that's the players. You know, it's going to be 10 times worse if the manager hasn't signed a new contract and we get to like January, February, you know, into 2027. So I don't know what the plan is, because like Brian says, they're clearly not 100% confident in him, like the reporter saying, like all these mouthpieces are coming out and protecting him, because the contract's not there.
But like the thing with that is it just a case of Edwards and Hughes being absolutely lazy and like they'll let him go next season because they also know they're going at the end of next season? Like, there's no way Slot, Edwards, Hughes are here by the end of 2027 season. Like, I just don't see it. But is that just for them to like basically throw us into this big pit of unknown and going, well, whoever has to pick it up has to pick it up? Because like, I don't see them appointing another manager, but I also don't see a world where, you know, they're all here at this point next year.
Do you think it's a case of stubbornness as well? Like Edwards and Hughes don't want to admit that they're wrong on Arne Slot. He won the title last season, obviously, but it's been shocking this season for the majority of it. And it's not even the results. Like I say, the performances, there's so many bad things. Do you not just think maybe they're being a bit stubborn?
Oh, yeah, you could say that. I think the way I see it is there's so much change happening within the squad over, last summer. This summer is going to be more change even next summer. I think they're trying to limit that by keeping the same coach. This summer's the big one for me, because I think we're going to see so much more incomings, outgoings, etc. I just don't think they want to go down a different direction and change things even further. But like I've said many times, it's a massive risk to do that. And let's see what happens. Like, I think we could miss out on some serious good coaches, good managers. If he doesn't, obviously, well, if he stays on and leaves around October, November, I think we could miss out on some serious managers.
100%.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think it's the right decision.
Wow, we know that.
Why? Go on, let's have a debate here. Go on.
Yeah, we'll have a debate.
How much is he paying you, by the way, just before you answer that?
I said the amount of people that have accused me of saying FSG paid me to talk about Slot. I'm like, lads, if FSG were paying me to talk about Slot, I would have been doing it the last 6 months. You know what I mean? I've had my say on Slot. I've said in certain moments this season, it hasn't been good enough. My kind of thinking and rationale behind it is that everyone in the league is shit. Like, this is probably one of the worst United teams I've seen in years, and they are third. Like, don't let them fool you into thinking that they're back. When they're back playing 2 days a week, they will nosedive. Chelsea are terrible. They are absolutely terrible. And a new manager's going to go into that group. It doesn't matter. Their strategy is completely all over the place. Arsenal are serial losers, and we know that they're not going to win another Premier League. They're not going to win a Premier League. Man City with Guardiola, that's a completely different animal, because Guardiola is probably the last manager left in football that has complete control of what he wants within a club. Like, I think head coaches nowadays, that is going to be the norm, because clubs don't want to hand over control to managers and let them do what they want to do. And I think one of the reasons Edwards left was because Klopp had a lot of control at that point in time. So, like, going forward, I think Arne Slot, this season has not been good enough. It has not been good enough. And like, I'll be the first to admit that. But at the end of the day, like, getting a Premier League winning manager or going out and trying to get one is going to be very difficult. I think if you go through the team, the transition that we all thought was going to happen last season is happening this season. And some of the changes that Liverpool have made before Arne Slot came in, and Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes, they're issues that we're seeing now. So if you go back to the signings of Darwin Núñez is meant to learn from Roberto Firmino, come in, and he was meant to be replacement. He was deemed not good enough. And then you have Ekitike and Isak come in, and they have to hit the ground running straight away. We never replaced Mohamed Salah. There should have been a replacement come in for him 2 or 3 years ago. before Richard Hughes came in and before Jurgen Klopp had left, there should have been someone coming in to replace him because we knew he was coming to the end. The only one that you can look at across that front line is probably Luis Diaz. And I think, yes, you could say it was a mistake to sell him, but for the contract wages that he was looking for, which he got at Bayern Munich, I don't know if that was the right decision, because say if next season he drops off and you have a player that's on a 5-year contract and he's earning 250, 300k a week, like that's going to be another issue that you have within the squad. Like if you go to Konate, Van Dijk, like Shaquan Leone, brilliant, but like we should have had players coming in and learning from them 3 years ago, not this last summer and this summer. So there's a lot of things that I understand are obviously causing to the demise that we've had this season. Drop off of huge players that have been unbelievable, some of the best we've seen in Premier League history. And I think if you get, say, 2 good wingers, 2 pacey wingers into the team, you get 2 midfielders that can run, that can actually get across the pitch, then I would think you'll see a different team to what we've seen this year. And listen, I know, Max, you said there about potential managers. I think the only good manager on the market right now, or that could be on the market, is Luis Enrique. I think Alonso plays a slower style of football than Arne Slot. And he went to a club where he was the head coach, had to manage a lot of personalities at Real Madrid and didn't get it right. So like coming into a team that maybe has been a little bit lackluster, say last season, like you don't know if that's going to work. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like Liverpool could finish 3rd this year and they won a league last year. Like to me, like that is like to come from a manager that was so stable in Jurgen Klopp the last 10 years to then have a manager that comes in, finishes 3rd and wins the Premier League. I think to me, that's okay. I understand though, like this season hasn't been good enough. But like, does he not deserve that chance to try and get it right and bring in his own players, his own team, and fade out some of the old guard?
Yeah, I get your point, right? And I understand it to a degree. But my sort of counter argument to that would be we've signed all this world-class talent and he's clearly not able to get at least a glimpse of the best of them. We haven't seen the best of Wirtz. We haven't seen the best of Isak. We haven't seen the best of anybody that he signed other than possibly Ekitike. And that has been in spells, obviously. And then on top of that, you're going to go in and spend probably another 300 million and potentially stink up the gaff again next year. And then we're stuck in a loop of we've now thrown away, I wouldn't say we've thrown away this season, but we've potentially thrown away next season, which could send us into a massive pitfall of what United are in. And then we have to sell players that clearly aren't good enough. If Isak doesn't hit the ground running next year, there's going to be so much pressure on him. If Wirtz doesn't hit the ground running, there's going to be so much pressure on him. There's so many signings now that are at risk of getting this massive pressure on them that they don't probably need or deserve off the top of a coach that isn't able to get the best out of them, at least in my opinion anyway.
I think we've come to the point where the majority of Slot's tenure now is worse than it is good in terms of the performances that we've seen. So if you split both seasons that he's had in 2 halves, he's only really had 1 out of 4, which was really, really good. Because I don't care, the second half of last season wasn't good. Both halves of this season hasn't been good enough. And I understand all of your points, Jamie, about the structure of the club. Yeah, it is a bit of a mess, but that's all great. What we're seeing on the pitch isn't good enough, and I haven't seen anything to suggest that that's going to improve. Because when we've got our best 11 out, and even when we don't have many injuries, he's not getting enough out of them. And yes, they have underperformed themselves. You'd have to take that into consideration. But I just think there's quite a lot of coaches out there who could get more out of this squad, because we've got quite a talented squad, to be honest. Spent a lot of money on it.
Liam, any thoughts?
I don't know where to start with, mate. What was that naturally coming to me then? I thought you were going to jump back into.
No. I was going to wait for you all to say your piece, then I'll rebuttal.
Mate, I don't know where to start. I've forgot a few of your points now, but at the start I was chomping at the bit. There's a metaphor for you. I was chomping at the bit to
the Liam metaphor.
Rebuttal most of your points. I defended Slot. A lot of people know I defended Slot for up until Spurs, which was only a few weeks ago, really. I completely agree. If you get him new wingers, excuse me, if you get him new wingers and athletic midfielders, it 100% we look better. Players actually play better in the system. I do think, though, I've said it quite a few times, it actually just masks having these players that can jump from player to player and stuff. It actually masks how poor the defensive system is. It's been a case of Slot's entire career, whether that's at Feyenoord and at Liverpool. And then with the other stuff that you were saying, like with, I don't even know how to word it, but the bad really outweighs the good, doesn't it? Like you can look at him winning the title last year and stuff, but like Max says, he's probably only got 1 out of 4 right with the halves. But I just think doesn't speak well about the players. The man management is really poor. The defensive structure is poor. The players look tired after every game. They can't complete 90 minutes. You've got to question what we're doing in training. I think there's just so many things that a new manager could come in and instantly improve. I do agree with Alonso as well, by the way. Someone said about the slow football. I think Alonso does play slower football, slower build-up style to Slot. But out of possession, it's much better, I think. And I'm not talking about formation. I'm just talking about the press. I think he will make the players fitter. And you talk about Real Madrid as well, but I think he actually started really well at Madrid. I think
third best ever start of a Madrid final or a Madrid manager.
Yeah, in terms of La Liga, I think he started really well. It was just because they care so much about the Champions League, don't they? And I don't think they were really performing in that. You can't just overlook what he did at Leverkusen either. I would 100%. If I asked you now, would you rather Alonso come in or like as soon as the season ends, Alonso comes in, or you keep Slot for a season? What would your answer be?
I want Alonso.
Alonso for me.
Yeah, see, the thing is though, you say Alonso because you know what you get with Slot, but you don't know what you're going to get with Alonso. You know what I mean? So you're saying you're going to take a gamble on if that's going to be good. But like at the end of the day, if we go down that route and it's bad, you're going to be left in the same situation where you're probably going to want them gone in 6 months to a year. You know what I mean? And I understand because you can vision what Slot has done this season. It would be though. You think about how toxic it's changed from a manager that has won a league to a manager that comes in and he was good at Liverpool 20 years ago. Like the amount of people that have thrown Slot under the bus in that instance for what he did last year. I understand to have your frustrations, but some of the messaging and some of the talk from like some Liverpool fans has been nothing short of disgraceful. Like they don't even want to have a conversation with you about it anymore. They just want to say Slot out and then move on to the next comment section to say it again. And I think from my point of view, right, I'm looking at it and saying, right, Michael Edwards has led us through probably the most successful period in Liverpool's Premier League history. He got it right with a lot of the signings. He got a lot right behind the club and managing the club. And he's come in now and he's the CEO of football. And Richard Hughes is his man. And they feel like Arne Slot is their man. And I think they probably have a vision in terms of the way it's going to go. And to go back to, like, say, the defensive structure and the playing style, I get all that. But to me, they don't have a team right now that can play, say, that high intensity. And like a lot of the numbers that come back and say, Slot, our running numbers are like lower than everyone else's. I agree with that they are lower than everyone else's, and that's just a plain stat. You can't argue it. But like, I don't think we have a team that can move. Like Salah won't run, McAllister can't run, Gravenberch has been run into the ground. Like there's a lot of players in our team that are struggling. I would say the reason Szoboszlai looks so good is because he's able to get around the pitch. Everyone else can't, and there's only so much that he can do. So like, with that in mind, I think if Liverpool are able to get the right players in this year to get that intensity back into the team, then the way Slot wants to play will change and we'll start to see better football. And I think from looking at it from that point of view, I can see why they want to keep him. Because they feel like they haven't given him what he needs to be successful again, to go again. And that means bringing in more players that can obviously take over from some of the players that haven't been performing this year or are on the way out after having very good careers at Liverpool. So like that's where like I think they're making the right decision in keeping him and not taking a risk on trying to change everything again and bringing in a new manager.
So you don't think like the likes of Alisson or any of that leadership group or Van Dijk coming out and speaking about the hierarchy kind of plays into the whole like they're possibly not happy with how things are going at the moment? Obviously they're not happy with how the season's gone, but
yeah,
like you look at Alisson though, for example, when like he's, 32, 33, like that is, I'm not saying that's young, but for a goalkeeper, he probably has another 3 years at the top level of playing in goal in the Premier League at the very least, or in Europe at the very least. So
if you go back with Alisson's been in and out of the team for 3 years. Kelleher, the reason Kelleher has been talked about as such a good goalkeeper, and the reason he has become such a good goalkeeper is because Alisson's been injured so much that he's had to play. And like that's why he obviously felt he was ready, and that's why he left and went to Brentford. More so than like if we had got rid of Alisson last season and we kept Kelleher, we didn't sell him. Like, would that have been the right choice from that point of view? Like, a lot of Liverpool fans would have said no, but like looking at it now, you would say yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I just think, I wonder, especially tearing apart that leadership group way too early, in my opinion, it feels, and having Van Dijk come out as openly as he has, is there something going on behind the scenes that probably isn't positive, at least in the dressing room? Do the players maybe not fancy? Because the standards have slipped amongst the players. I don't care what anyone says, and we've touched on it so many times in this live. Like, you have little things like Curtis Jones playing with Freddie Woodman on the bench. Like, things like that never happened under Jurgen Klopp. The closest you ever got to it was Milner coming off the pitch at West Ham being fuming and then just openly being like, yeah, great, we scored. So I just worry about, if the standards are slipping, the fitness is slipping, the question in the training, the leadership group getting dismantled, is there just way too much behind the scenes that probably plays into the whole fact that we probably shouldn't be going this direction with Arne Slot? Because if it goes really bad, really quick, which is a big possibility next season, I think we're fucked, basically.
Yeah.
Jamie, what? Oh, go on, Max.
No, I've got a different kind of question. Go on.
Oh, go on. Jamie, what are your concerns, though? Like, do you have any concerns? You've bigged him up.
Would Arne Slot none?
For the last 10 minutes. Do you have concerns with him? Because you talk about, defending the Salah's lack of running these days. McAllister can't run. But, like, we can all see this. But I don't think Slot's adapting his style at all to help these players on the pitch. Like, he's not brought Jones in as much as he should have. Like, that's an easy fix. If McAllister can't run about the pitch, don't play him. He's played the majority of the season, hasn't he? So what would your concerns be? Are you concerned about anything about, like, the fitness, the standards, like Brian says, the structure?
Yeah, like, listen, when things are going bad, I think you can make a lot more of the issues that are probably within the team. I think, say that the Salah situation, I don't think obviously helped, but like, if you go back to the actual situation, Salah and a lot of people at that moment in time were saying he shouldn't be in the team. Or maybe not Brian, but like, there was question marks about whether he should be in the team or not. Because Liverpool were conceding a lot of goals and we weren't being solid defensively. He gets taken out of the team and Liverpool went on a run, I think, of 9 games without a defeat. And like, listen, the performances still weren't up to the like scratch. I agree with that. But like, if you actually go through the team this year, like, Ekatiké's had to play a lot because Isak obviously broke his leg. Like, you think of obviously Diaz being sold, and that's something that you can obviously question the management. Was that the right decision to not bring someone in? I think Slot wanted someone in the summer to come in, but then they said to keep Rio and give him minutes. But like, we've seen it with, like, say, the players like Saka, Sterling. If you give these players a lot of minutes straight off the bat, they'll be done by the time they're 25 because they'll be running to the ground. And I think Slot, in fairness to him, has managed them probably well this season, and he'll maybe kick on next season. But obviously you can't, that, like, he'll say, Rio looks unbelievable. He should be starting him every single week because, like, your man that sits in fucking front row says that he should because he's good. Do you know what I mean? Like, that to me doesn't make sense. But like, in terms of issues, absolutely. I think his man management, you pointed to it there. I think some of his handling of situations, it should be better. But I think when you're not winning games, when you're losing games, and when you don't have the players to do what you obviously want to do on the pitch, that obviously brings frustration. Like, when you're winning games, I remember, like, Klopp talked about this before. He was like, Salah was one of the most difficult players I ever had to manage because he always wanted to play. Even if it was like a quarterfinal of a Carabao Cup where all the kids be playing. Do you know what I mean? So that's something that you have to manage. And when you're not playing well, like, the expectation is Salah will want to play because he wants to score goals, or McAllister will want to play well because he wants to get his fitness back, whatever it is. But like, I don't think there's been many like changes that Arne Slot could have made this season that would have helped the team, because right now these players probably aren't fit for purpose. Like, we need more players in the team. Like, if you put an Elliot Anderson, Tonali, Diomande and Gordon into this team, like, are you telling me that you're not going to see better football? Do you know what I mean? A higher intensity football.
He's making them not look fit for purpose, though, because of his coaching. I watched Bournemouth. Like, they don't spend anywhere near as much money as us. They go to the Emirates, play a high pressing style of football, man to man, dominate possession, create loads of chances. That's Bournemouth. Like, why are we just accepting that this is how it's meant to be under Slot? In my opinion, it's not good enough at all. And I think it's clear as day. what manager in recent years has it got so bad at a club, any club, well, mainly the big clubs, has it got so bad, so toxic, and then he's turned it around? I can't think of an example in recent history, really. Maybe back in the day, maybe in the 80s, 90s. I know Fergie didn't start well at United, etc. But modern day football's different. I think once you hit a certain low, how do you get back up from there? I think it's inevitable. I think his time is done, but obviously the club think otherwise. So yeah.
Right, it's a good point about that. Arsenal going to Bournemouth and playing man-to-man, high intensity. And then if you compare that, like how our approach at home to Leeds, at home to Burnley, to be fair, I think the Burnley one was better, but we still didn't get the result. Like, I don't think it doesn't take, you don't need all these players. And like I said, I agree. We'll see a lot upturn in results and performances if Diamande, Gordon, Anderson come in. But it doesn't take those level of players to beat Burnley at home, to beat Leeds at home. You know what I mean? That Leeds game was probably the worst game that I've watched Liverpool play in years. I just think the approach in that game, when you compare it to a Bournemouth going away at the Emirates and playing man-to-man, getting in their faces and coming back with a 2-1 result, would you take Areola if you were given a choice? What do you reckon, Max?
I like him. I like his style of play a lot. I might be a bit too early for him. And you look at these managers like Thomas Frank. I thought he would do really good at Tottenham, but then they go there and it's hard to make that jump from like mid-table to a big six team. But I think when you're talking about style of play, Iraola is his style of play is basically what I'd want to see from a Liverpool team, like high energy. Apparently he's so intense, like he does double sessions with his players. Like I've seen Semenyo's interviews saying how mental it was under him. I mean, it just reminds me of obviously the Klopp era, and I'd love to see us as a team play like that. But Slot, obviously, his style of football is much different. Even Alonso, I'm saying I want Alonso. I understand his brand of football is quite slow as well, but I think with him, he's a fan's favourite. He's an ex-player, so there's already an attachment there. And to be honest, he went unbeaten for Leverkusen. I feel like people just ignore that and go for the Madrid one.
Yeah, but so we'll go back to your point there, right? So Leverkusen, like, it was an unbelievable achievement, right? And say Bournemouth, and they go to the Emirates and they play really well. The expectation at those clubs is so different. Like, if you go there and they go play high pressing, which I'm sure they've done this season. I think they went through a patch of 9 games without a win, like earlier on in the season, after they had a good start. If they lose, nobody cares. If they go and that works, it's brilliant. Well done. But like, if you go and you go get hammered, it's like, see, Bournemouth got hammered there at the weekend. Whereas if Liverpool do it and they get hammered, it's going to be talked about for the next 2 months. People are still going on about Forest. You know what I mean? And rightly so. I understand the expectation when you're at a big club is huge, and it rightly should be, because you're getting the biggest wages, you're playing with the best players, you should be winning the biggest trophies. It's such a different ball game, and expectation doing like what you do with, say, Bournemouth or Leverkusen, and that's why one of the reasons I think Alonso struggled going to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid and Liverpool, I think even at that level, like, they're different in terms of the expectations. Like, if you win a game by 2 goals and you should have won by 4, the Real Madrid fans are giving out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's just the way they are. But like, I think with Slot this season is like, I think the players that we have, and Max, you said you want a little bit more intensity. I agree. I think this season has been a little bit less intense. But if you go through most of the teams this season, a lot of them have lost that intensity. Guardiola doesn't play with the same intensity that he did. Like, Arteta has done well with this team, but it's been very pragmatic. And I think there's been a shift in terms of, like, a lot of teams nowadays, if you go and try and press them, they just play long. They'll go over your head. And that's why we're seeing, like, a lot more long balls, long throw-ins, corners, because that's what they're seeing is effective. And like, listen, I think if you're to go back to Liam's point about criticisms, I think Arne Slot dealing with that hasn't been good enough. But I think a lot of it is there's a lot of different parts, rather than just saying, like, he's not good enough, we sack the manager. So that's why, like, I think if Edwards and Hughes feel like he's the right man and they're going to back him, then I probably would give him a new contract, even though people are going to go mad. I would give him a year with an extension of a year. I think that would be the way to go, so that, like, you're kind of not in a sticky situation if you do have to make a change later on. And then give him money to go and see what he can do with a team in the summer. Like, realistically, if Liverpool go out and spend money on Diamande, Wharton, and I don't know, like Tonali. If Alonso comes in 6 months, or Luis Enrique comes in 6 months, like they're going to be able to do all right with those players. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll be fine. So like, and my understanding is, I think they're probably right to go with Slot.
Fair play. I think a lot of players are considering leaving because they obviously know he's staying. I think that's a good segue into maybe Alisson leaving. Obviously links to Juventus. What do you boys think?
I'm gutted about it, to be honest, because I you know what, Jamie made a really good point on it a little bit ago, and obviously look, he hasn't been consistently playing the 38 game season in the league at the very least for the last 3 years, which is poor for a goalkeeper, because I think at minimum he should be playing at least 32 games, if not more. But look, I think he has so much to offer in and around the dressing room, on top of, I still think on his day, and it's not on his day as if it's very rare, on his day he still is the best goalkeeper in the league. Do I think he's dropped off a little bit? Probably a little bit. The same with Van Dijk and the same with Robertson and Salah. But I still think he has a lot to offer. And I made the point earlier that I think for his age, he's still young for a goalkeeper and can still play top level football. And I think the fact that his agent and him have kind of accepted proposals isn't really a good sign for what's going on behind the scenes at Liverpool. And if the players want to get out so easily, it doesn't look great. If you have a player like Curtis Jones who says he wants to retire at Liverpool, he wants to be a one club man, and he wants to leave now. If you have Alisson who says he wants to end his career at Liverpool and then go to Brazil, then that's pretty bad. If you have a player like Salah who says he would stay till the last day of his career if he could, you know, and wanting to leave like midway through his contract that he was so desperate to get, I think that it says a lot more about what's going on behind the scenes, which I know we've already just had a lengthy discussion about, but it just goes to tie back into what I think about Alisson leaving. I just think it'd be really silly, to be honest.
Yeah. Another point that you touched on earlier as well is ripping that leadership group apart. I think there's two ways you can look at it. Like, I don't mind. Like, you can look at it from Jamie's perspective, and I do sort of agree. Like, he's not playing enough for a goalkeeper. You know what I mean? But then on the other hand, you can say that when he does play, he is still more than good enough. He's one of the best keepers in the league, if not the best keeper in the league, and we do have a capable backup in Mamardashvili. I think we should probably have a discussion about Mamardashvili in a minute to see, you know, if Alisson does leave, does he become the number one? But yeah,
don't run off Freddie Woodman yet.
Freddie Woodman.
Good shout.
We got a few keepers, to be fair. We got that Pekshi, the Hungarian keeper. We got Jaros, that's currently out on loan. I think still at Ajax. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he is at Ajax because he went with our man Johnny Heitinger, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he took him there. But yeah, ripping that leadership group apart too early would be a concern of mine, because McAllister's been linked to moves away as well. So you're looking at like Jones. I know he's not in it, but if all those players were to leave, Jones would probably step up into the leadership group. So you're looking at Jones, McAllister, Salah, Robertson, Alisson. You know, what leaders do we have left then? And you're talking about it being a transition period. I do think you need leaders in the group to oversee that.
I just worry about the summer. Like, it feels like every week there's like another player links away. How many players are we going to sell? And then how many players do we need to bring in? Like, if we made no sales, we still need probably 4 or 5 signings. So then we're going to sell more players, which means we're going to need to bring more players in. It's just, I don't know. And how are you going to do that with the World Cup as well? The World Cup in the summer is hard to make signings. It's very difficult.
I got to say something about Liverpool, right? And a lot of Liverpool fans won't like this. Liverpool are a selling club. They are. They will buy. No, well, all right. If you go back to all of our biggest signings, or like say players where we've actually had to go out and spend big money, a lot of that has come from off the back of selling big players, or not spending any money in one window and then spending big the following. So like Liverpool, the way they operate is if they need to bring in players, which they are going to have to do this season, they're going to have to sell players. I remember us talking about this a couple of weeks back when we were saying, who do Liverpool sell? You're probably looking at a Jones. You're probably looking at a Gakpo. You're probably maybe looking at an Alisson if you can get like, say, a certain amount of money from him. Like going back to the leadership team as well, like the leadership team are there, but like they haven't been existent this year. Like Alisson hasn't been in the he's been in and out of the team. Robertson has been in or been out of the team obviously as well. Van Dijk and Salah are players that I don't think we're leaders in how they communicated, but how they played. But this season, they've dropped off to such a level that like they can't do that. You know what I mean? So like they're going to obviously vent their frustration in other ways. So like you're expecting other players to step up. And you go back to like you're obviously looking at who else could step into that leadership team. Like I think Jones should be someone who's in there, and he came out then middle of the season saying we should be getting stuck into them. Do it on the pitch. Go out and get stuck into them on the pitch. Stop coming out. You know the press conferences I've heard from Liverpool players this season coming out being like, it's not good enough. We need to get tighter. We need to run more. Do it on the pitch.
Die on the pitch.
Press like it's ridiculous. But like, going back to like, well, this is a segue off. But like with Alisson, I don't know. I think the fact that like say some of the Liverpool players are leaving this year, I think a lot of the older players might be leaving. One, because they feel like it's their time. But I do think this Jota situation has played into it a little bit as well. I think that obviously they have so many memories from like the last 10 years at the club that they don't want it to be like a bad memory of like how it's ended. Do you know what I mean? And like obviously it's a very painful thing, and I don't think any of them would talk about it in that way. And like they'll obviously talk very fondly of Liverpool, but maybe they feel like they're ready for a change after all the stuff that has happened, because that will take a huge emotional toll on you. Yeah. And I think that's probably fair to say as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's what Kelleher said, wasn't it? He was asked, and same with Hendo, but they said they were glad to be together at Brentford, but it was a big case of like they were even better to be away from it. Kelleher saying like, he couldn't imagine being in that environment day to day. So I will always give leeway with I want to try separate the football and that as much as possible, but emotionally and definitely in a mental health sort of way, I can always understand if maybe Salah's leaving for that reason, or Alisson or Van Dijk or all these senior players that have been here for so long, that had so many memories with Jota. I can understand that mentally why they wouldn't want to be in that environment. And that's sort of, I don't want to go back to the point, but the same way with Slot, is it maybe time as well for a manager that obviously had him for a year and it has been in and around that every single day? Maybe it's untenable for him to turn this all around, especially when he's dealing with that grief on top of having new players. And it's just, it's a hard topic to talk about and actually break down. And ultimately you won't know about it until 10 years from now, when they all have their autobiography speaking about that stint in the team,
Yeah. If Alisson does, want to leave himself, you really can't blame him. Same as Robertson, same as Salah, same as Van Dijk, maybe next year. They've given so much to the club, and you can understand why they probably think the timing is right. I just think with the Alisson one, it would be ideal for him to just give us that one more year, a little transition, so Mamardashvili can learn even further, because I don't think he's actually ready to be full number one yet. And if Alisson does go, then I don't think we'll sign like a backup to Mamardashvili. I think we'll actually sign someone to compete. So we won't even know who is the number one. Similar to like what Ramsdale and Raya was like when they first signed him. So basically a battle to see who will get number one. That's what I think will happen.
Yeah. It's a lot of players that they're having to change, and like players that have just been unbelievable. And the expectation is that whoever comes in has to like live up to that standard, but it's just not going to work that way. You know what I mean? Like Mamardashvili is going to take some time. Whether it's, I seen someone say there that, what did they say? Generally would rather Woodman in goal than Mamar might be one of the worst footballers kicking a football. So there you go. So like there's a bit of debate up there. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like, because obviously Mamardashvili hasn't had a lot of opportunities since he's come in. I think he said he was frustrated about that earlier on in the season when Alisson was fit. But I think Mamardashvili does have to prove himself. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Alisson when he came in and he was just straight away. You just could see the difference in the team. And I don't think we're going to get a player like that straight away, because there's probably not that ilk of goalkeeper out there at this moment in time that you could sign. Kelleher potentially, but like they'd be looking for 50 million, 60 million from now.
See, I think I would go with Kelleher over Trafford. By the way, I'm sure we'll get on to this if we had to pick between a goalkeeper to sign. But I don't think we should be hanging our hats on to Mamardashvili. So I would hope it's a fight for that number one spot with whatever goalkeeper comes in, because I don't think Mamardashvili is that good. I've seen it with my eyes, and I think I felt very similar. Me and Liam have had discussions about this, but when you have a goalkeeper, in my eyes, that has to make theatrical saves to make themselves look better than they actually are, I think you're already showing yourself up that you aren't as good as maybe you need to be. And we've seen so much that Alisson doesn't do the theatrical saves because he just does his job so well. Kelleher never did the theatrical saves. He just did his job so well. But you look at Mamashvili, and it feels like every single opportunity that a team gets, it's always this wonder save, but it's not, because it's straight at him and he has to pull off this stupid save and give away a corner. And I always think that Karius was so good at doing these theatrical saves for that exact reason. And we knew how rubbish he actually was in the end.
Yeah.
I think you wanted to talk about Trafford, didn't you, Liam? Because I like him. I like him.
I like Trafford as well. I think you can make the argument that if Kelleher was better, or Kelleher is better than Trafford, then why didn't City just go and sign him? Because they would have had the opportunity to sign both players last summer. You know, Kelleher was leaving Liverpool for, did we sign him for like 12 million or something to Brentford? The really cheap fee, I'm pretty sure. How much did we sell him for?
I thought it was 35 or something. Wasn't that 35 or something?
It was so cheap. I'm pretty sure it was
I thought it was 15.
It was a similar price to what they sold Flecken for, but like surely City would have snapped.
18,
City would have snapped our hand off surely if Kelleher was better than Trafford. I think they're both they are probably the two best keepers in the league with the ball at their feet, and that's why I want Trafford. I think this is probably a good question. Would you rather a keeper that's like a decent shot stopper but incredible with their feet, or Mamashvili with their feet and a good shot stopper?
I want a shot stopper first.
No, I would want the Trafford or Kelleher.
You talk about Slot wanting to stay, and Slot's going to be here next season. I think a big part of his system is the goalkeeper. You know, I said it last week. The fact that he can't even drop a ball into Isak. Like he overhits every single ball. And Trafford can play off both feet. Mamashvili, I'm not sure he has a right foot. I've not seen him.
Do you not think Trafford was a bit poor at Man City when he went there, and before Donnarumma came in? I remember he probably should have got sent off against Spurs.
He made one mistake at Spurs. Where he
but he got sent off as well, and then he should have got sent off against Spurs, didn't he?
He was. I'm not sure if he did get sent off, but he was he's one of the best players in the Carabao Cup final against Arsenal. Maybe.
But that's recency bias though as well, isn't it? But isn't this recency bias though, right? Because all we've had of Trafford this season is I feel like it's one or two mistakes. Let's just say one for argument's sake is one mistake and one really good performance in the Carabao Cup. Whereas now you have the sample size of Kelleher at Brentford, and then you have this whole season, the sample size at Liverpool, and then this whole season at Brentford. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I watch every single Brentford game. I read what I see from people. He's made mistakes, 100%. I've seen that, but he's also been really good, and a lot of them are happy that he's obviously their starting goalkeeper. I would argue that it's very close in terms of which keeper would you rather, because obviously Trafford has the age, has the same exact ability, I'd say, on the ball as Kelleher. But Kelleher has the experience of playing in the Premier League now consistently week in, week out. He also has the experience at Liverpool. He's played with that whole back line. We're not linked with him. Realistically, he's not going to come.
I was going to say, is it like...
It's not going to happen, no.
I don't think it's...
Just Liverpool fans talking.
We have inquired about Trafford. I think alongside a few other... I think it was Premier League clubs. I think I saw Villa... I didn't read the full thing. I just saw our name and got excited, to be honest, because I do, like I said, I do really like him. Can play off both feet, comfortable on the ball.
He's young as well.
Yeah, young. He's really young, and I think he was signed initially. Like, he is the Edison replacement. They got offered the chance to sign Donnarumma quite late in the window, but he was signed to be City's number one in a Guardiola system. So it shows that he was going to be trusted before they got the opportunity to sign the best keeper in the world. A bit unfortunate for him. So I think he will definitely leave in the summer, and I think you'd probably get him for a decent fee. I spoke about it on my TikTok yesterday, and people were saying that why would City sell to us? But they've sold to Arsenal so many times in the past, and now they're challenging with them for the title. So I think it's a move that could be possible if Alisson does leave.
I feel like, but if you go after Trafford, you're basically signing a keeper that's not good enough to start for a rival. Do you know what I mean?
No, but he is. I think he is good. Like, the only reason he's not good enough to start for a rival is because they've got arguably the best goalkeeper in the world, really, don't they? Yeah, like I said, he was signed to come in as that number one.
Yeah, but he was not good enough. He wasn't good enough when he came in, and they basically were like, "Oh shit, we know he's not good enough, so we brought Donnarumma."
That is not the case.
That is exactly what happened.
They did not sign Donnarumma. There was links with Donnarumma like literally like the week or like 2 weeks after they signed Trafford, after Donnarumma's like contract talks. Like they didn't see.
But wouldn't you trust your goalkeeper though?
Say again?
Wouldn't you trust your goalkeeper though? Why would you?
You both asked 2 different questions. No?
Sorry. Go, Brian.
I'm just saying. I'm kind of building on Jamie's point a little bit and playing devil's advocate. But why would you go and sign a keeper if you trust that keeper enough? Because like ultimately they knew when they signed Donnarumma, that's it for Trafford. Surely there was never going to be a case they were fighting for number 1. Yeah. Donnarumma's told he's number 1 and that's it. And Trafford's been told, yeah, you're number 2 now. You're not playing like. But if you trust your keeper enough, you wouldn't put them in that position.
I think it's just a really unfortunate situation for Trafford. We've seen that Pep's quite ruthless with his goalkeepers, isn't he? He got rid of Joe Hart literally as soon as he walked in. Then he signed Bravo, and then like a year after that, he told him to piss off. Like until they got Edison, who's actually proven to be the best keeper in the world, probably potentially ever with the ball at his feet. They weren't set on any goalkeepers, were they? So
why did they get rid of Bravo and Joe Hart?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Pep Guardiola, mate. Pep Guardiola got rid of Hart because
it was because
they weren't good enough.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what point you're trying to make. They did not sign Donnarumma in the summer because Trafford isn't good enough. Trafford would start for at least 17 teams in this league. He'll be England's number 1 keeper in the future after Pickford leaves.
I agree with that. I think Donnarumma's it was an opportunity that you can't pass up on. Like when a keeper's that good for 30 million, just because they signed Donnarumma, in my opinion, doesn't mean they didn't trust Trafford fully. He didn't play many games. He played like the first 3 games of the season or something. And yes, he did look shaky, but he's only 23. I think what you said, Jamie, was interesting about, or one of you said about would you rather a shot stopper or someone good with their feet? In the modern day, you definitely need a good balance. But I think with how teams build out from the back now, a keeper like Mamardashvili, I'm not sure he's made for the top level of football, because the way I see it, every time he gets the ball, he literally shits himself. He doesn't even want to take the risk to try and find someone. Like Alisson's. Yeah. Let's get this straight. Alisson isn't the best at distribution, but he will attempt it. And sometimes it goes wrong. We've seen that in his Liverpool career. It's gone very wrong at times. But then the next time he'll still do it because it's for the better of the team. But whenever I've seen Mamardashvili play for us, he's not interested in that. He just wants to hoof it as far as possible.
As far, it goes far.
Both feet. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I think it's very telling. I think it's very telling when a goalkeeper would rather like throw the ball to the halfway line than kick the ball. Like,
he does that a lot.
Yeah, he just absolutely launches it. I don't think he aims. I think he just thinks, get it out my box. I'm not going to deal with anything for the next 2 minutes.
No, yeah, fair. It's going to be one of those decisions that they're going to have to make. Are they going to stick with him or go? But we'll do a few comments. You know what I realised? I apologise to everyone in the chat. I've barely done any comments and it's 50 minutes into the stream. But it's Alvin says, love this show. Thank you very much. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, folks. Try and get up to 30 likes by the end of the stream. I think we're on like 22 or something like that now.
Come on, lads.
Allegedly, senior players have been unhappy with the drop in intensity in training since November. Like that to me is like, how can players like talk about the drop in intensity when they're the ones training? Like that doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I mean?
They get days off though, don't they? Like we spoke about this last time. Like they're in training like twice a week, and like Max says with Bournemouth, like Semenya was saying that after a game, if they play on a Saturday, they train on a Sunday. Like the intensity there is incredible.
You need the sessions to be adequate as well. Like they're not creating the sessions.
Isn't
I wouldn't say the sessions have changed that much from last season, no?
Yeah.
Isn't there an interview on Slot saying that exact thing where he said that he doesn't want his players doing too much in training because he's more worried about what they do on the ball than off the ball? Am I right in saying that? There was some sort of interview similar to that when he first came in?
I'm not sure, but there must have been something that's changed, because remember how much Curtis Jones was like bigging him up when he first came in? He was saying
his level of detail.
He was saying Slot's better than Klopp and everything on like day one. He was getting us all excited. But like, sure,
everyone's looked like a mug.
Say again?
Jones and Salah, I love them both, but both of them have been made to look like a mug, how much they bigged up Slot at the start and like went really hard in on the Slot hype train to like the two players who probably fallen out.
Mohamed Salah slander from Brian Natelli.
Are you all right?
Clip that up.
No, you get my point though. Both of them, like, because Jones's thing really annoyed me, to be fair, because he was basically saying that he was better than Klopp. The training sessions were better. Obviously, he came out to clarify, but Salah said very similar as well, and much he loved training under Slot. And it's just funny that the two players that have said it are the ones that have probably had the biggest fallout with Slot in terms of Jones has been literally just taken out of the team altogether, and then Salah obviously had his public dispute. So
does that not go back to the whole thing though? Like when things are going well, people talk well, but when they go a little bit bad, they'll turn.
Yeah.
And like I think, like players, listen, you can obviously be rewarded for your success and praised for your success, but I think the real attitude is that what you see from a player is when it's not going well. Do you know what I mean? When you're getting hammered. And I think if you question a lot of Liverpool players this season, is that when we have not been up for it or when we've been poor, we've thrown in the towel. And I don't think that's down to Slot. I think a lot of the players should be looking at themselves in that instance, even some of the messaging that have come out. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think that's why, like, say if people obviously go to Slot straight away, but like, I think a lot of the players do have to answer for a lot of the performances that we have seen this season.
Yeah, but why are we going down in games so often? Like initially, surely that is down to the manager.
I think we just view it different. Jamie views it from a very different perspective to us three. I think which is life. People look at things in different way.
I was just being devil's advocate from the start.
He's actually Slot out.
I'm gonna end the stream and go Slot out, lads. Fuck him. Before we all just came on, we all said Slot out. I was more just making the case of like I understand why people want Slot out 100%, and if they sack him tomorrow, I think fair enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has been good enough, but like if they're going to back him and if they're going to keep him, what I'm trying to understand is the rationale for doing that. You know what I mean? Like why are they like? Surely they're seeing what we're seeing. Like they're not like just getting the scores up and saying, oh, well, the league table and saying, oh, yeah, do you know what? We're fifth and probably would like to be higher, but like, at least we're probably doing okay. Man City and Arsenal are only 15 points ahead of us. They're watching the games. They're obviously in and around. They're hearing stuff from the players maybe, or the atmosphere and stuff of the club. But like, they still feel after all that he is the right man to take them forward. So like, that's why I'm not saying it's right or wrong. What I'm saying is like, I'm trying to understand where they're coming from with that point of view.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So Shannon says, we trust Ali and he's good enough. But last summer, if we could get Donnarumma for 25 million after the season he had, I would have taken it straight away. There you go. It kind of comes back to the Kelleher situation as well. Like, if you could have sold Alisson last summer and kept Kelleher and remember that really kind of never came in, would that have been the right move?
Promised him the game time. I think a good point on Mamardashvili though is like maybe they don't see him as like a long term, because he was a very opportunistic signing as well. I think he's worth a lot more than 35 million, isn't he? I think even if we do go and sell him this summer, let's say, well, it's not going to happen probably, but if we go and sell him this summer, we'd still flip him for a profit, wouldn't we?
Yeah 40 million, I'd say.
Yeah, probably more. He's young. I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's suited to our style of play, Slot style.
He's a real Chelsea keeper, isn't he?
Yeah, I was saying that Chelsea should have signed him.
Go on.
I think he's like a 2000s, early 2000s keeper.
Edwin van der Sar.
Yeah, like Czech, where Czech was awful with his feet. But it didn't matter because teams didn't try to play out from the back there. It's so important nowadays. And like I said, I just don't think he's confident with it at all. But I don't think he's a bad keeper. I just don't think he's... Also, our standards, like you said, Jamie, our standards are pretty messed up with the likes of Alisson and Van Dijk. They've been so great.
But you know what, though? Do you want to go on, mate?
No, I just have a question. Who's the best goalkeeper in Premier League history?
Alisson.
I've seen Alisson because I only saw like 2012 Czech onwards, really. So I would go Alisson.
No, I said Czech, but I think it's Alisson now. I think he's eclipsed them.
Max Unk.
I think the highest level that the highest level. I was actually going to say Peter Schmeichel. Peter Schmeichel's up there, to be honest. But no, I think the highest level that I've seen is Alisson. Just like the bloke, like 21-22 Alisson. My God, he was a joke.
Yeah. You know what I was going to say about Mamardashvili though? Like, he doesn't come off his line at all either. We talk about, the modern day keeper. I don't know if you remember the better 1v1 that on the weekend, but like the ball gets put over the top of our defense and it's like dribbling in to our 18-yard box. And I'm thinking like, surely Mamardashvili is going to come into the screen in a second. And it just pans over and he's
Was that the shot that hit the corner flag, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's an awful shot. Don't get me wrong, but like, he's just stuck on his line. Like,
that's a good point, actually. Like most keepers, you need to be fast, like good sweeper keeper now. Like you saw that with Edison.
So hesitant to do it.
Yeah, Alisson was good.
Does come out and do it.
Yeah, Alisson in his prime was very good at that. You see David Raya now as well. He's very good. But
it's the same with Kelleher and Trafford, isn't it?
If Slot stays next season, there's rumors that
you all know what I want to ask. What does he do?
What does he do, man?
Would you rather Slot question out or Van Bronckhorst out?
Van Bronckhorst out. I have a question. I suppose we could segue into Palace, but what are we thinking for the Palace game? Are we feeling confident? Are we feeling positive? Are we feeling negative? What are we thinking? 3 in a row in the Premier League for Liverpool?
I think you've got to feel confident. They play on Thursday as well, don't they? Europa League, Conference League, I'm pretty sure. So that could be it's Saturday, Thursday schedule. So they might not rest, and Glasner doesn't rotate too much either, does he? But there's the potential that maybe they don't take it as seriously because they're pretty much on the beach, aren't they? I think they're a couple points off like Europe, but if they win that Conference League, they're going to get into Europa League anyway. So I think off the back of 2 wins at home at Anfield, we should be, I don't know what you boys think, but I am going to be predicting a 3rd win in a row.
I will be as well. I'm pretty confident.
It's a first for Max.
Yeah, because I think the pressure's not there as much now for this game as well, because Champions League looks like it's wrapped up. But yeah, in terms of Palace, we need that revenge, boys. How many times have they destroyed us this season? Is it 4?
5? No, sorry, Gahey. I see. What was it? Gahey's played 5 times this season. And
Palace has beaten us 3 times, haven't they? Community Shield, Carabao.
Even the last game of last season, though, I know we'd already won the league, but we drew with them.
They're our bogey team, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%. When was the last time we beat them at Anfield? Because wasn't the previous season the Eze 1-0?
No, last season was a draw. It was the
but then the season before that was
it was 21-22.
Yeah, Eze, yeah.
Oh, Keita.
Yeah, you're a man.
Oh, wow. Celebration. Bring him back for this game.
Nabby lad.
Nabby lad.
I reckon a 3-1 win. I think we're going to be quite comfortable in the game.
We'll do team selection first, then we'll do score prediction. Will we?
All right, yeah. Let's do it.
Go ahead.
So Freddie Woodman's in goal.
Yeah,
Freddie Woodman is in goal. I hope that, I think a lot of the fan base are now convinced after that performance that he's like the guy to take us forward. But like, I watched him. I've seen a few of his like blunders at Preston, and like he is.
Why would you go out of your way?
This is what I mean about Liverpool fans. See one game of a player and they're like, you know what? He's the answer. And you see Cody Gakpo play 100 games for Liverpool and go, get him out of my club.
Why have you gone out of your way to search his blunders? Why couldn't you have just...
No, like, I was already aware of them. I haven't been doing like recent research.
You were doing research at one point, though.
I was an avid watcher of the Championship back in the day. I haven't watched too much this season, to be fair. But Freddie Woodman... He's probably not like Preston fans hated him, and like he was somewhere else before that as well. He was at Newcastle before. He only played 4 games for Newcastle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, it'll be interesting to see how he does. Right back.
I hope he does. I hope he does really well.
I hope so. Right back. I think it's probably going to be Frimpong, right?
Yeah, it makes
Jones
sense.
Played really well there against Everton, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would go.
I'm going to say Jones.
You're going Jones.
I'd put Jones in. Would you not just put Jones in midfield potentially?
Over Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and McAllister and Wirtz.
Yeah, maybe you go Jones, Szoboszlai, pivot, but we'll get
Jones played unbelievable against Everton. You know what that means? There's an absolute stinker coming up.
To be honest, Frimpong as an impact player is good, so I'm not actually against that. If you did want to keep Jones at right back, but the thing for me is it's not a long-term thing.
Yeah, I think with 1 game a week now, like he'll trust Frimpong to play the majority of them.
Yeah, would you buy a right back in the summer?
Yeah, I got a bit of stick yesterday for suggesting some right backs, but don't know if anyone saw that. But I said this summer, because I think Bradley, I know you two actually disagreed with this when I said this a few weeks ago, but I think Bradley would have been shipped this summer if he didn't get that long-term injury. So I think you potentially, you see how he is. Yeah, I promise you, mate. I promise you. I've got,
You've had words with Slot, have you?
yeah, mate, I've got inside sources with the club, but I don't think if you look at any of our, like if you look at left back, Kirkes is the long-term left back. We've got Xhaka, we've got Leone. We don't have that long-term right back, do we? So I think we will sign, but that's not a priority position this summer. So I think we'll sign a long-term right back the following summer. But I was suggesting yesterday, like you can look at like a Nico Williams. You can also cover the left back as well with Robertson leaving. I said
from Forest.
So yeah, Forest. He played for Liverpool as well, didn't he? Just a backup, a player that can fill in there, and then maybe you ship Bradley next summer and go for a long-term one. Because there's that Javara Reed at Feyenoord who's meant to be really good, but I think he's still injured. He's had a long-term injury.
Bring me Gertrude.
Yeah, no, he was another one that I suggested. The three that I suggested were Gray, Gertrude, and who did I just say? Nico Williams.
Depends on what way you want it.
Say again. Yeah, for this summer.
Yeah, go on.
For this summer, yeah, because I feel like because we've still got obviously Bradley to come back. If Gomez stays, he can play there. Frimpong is going to obviously want minutes there as well. You don't want to sign like this long-term right back this summer, so you'd go with someone who can also play other positions. So like Nico Williams, right back, left back, Gertrude, midfield, right back, centre back, left back. Gray played centre back last season for Spurs, but obviously midfielder, right back. So I think I can see us signing that versatile defender that can play at right back this summer, maybe a long-term one next summer. But I don't know. There's not too many names, is there? I really like Livramento, but I don't know how feasible that is.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, he's good. We agree on Jones then. For now,
you know, Jones is definitely going to get dropped to the bench. It's so obvious.
I just think to reward him in, like, put him in midfield, take McAllister out. Like I said, I'm sure we'll get to it. But who would your two centre backs be then?
That's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Van Dijk, isn't it? Or maybe it's Gomez or Van Dijk. Who knows?
No, you can add in Van Dijk.
Kirkes left back.
Have they even got a break this year? Van Dijk.
No, that's why I'm looking forward to next season, seeing Xhaka and Leone, because surely they can come in and just replace Van Dijk in at least one game.
Are you fit to start now, Leone? Start of the season.
How's the injury going?
I made a video about our centre back depth the other day, and like Leone was on the screen behind me because I do the green screen videos, and Brian commented, "Why is Leone talking to himself?" But, like, everyone's commenting like schizophrenia and shit like that.
Yeah, I disagree with Kirkes. I think it's Robertson. You know.
We're not doing this again now. You're on a wind-up. Kirkes hasn't played in like 10 days now. He 100% starts.
Our next game's Man United, which is probably arguably the more important one. I reckon he plays Kirkes for Man United at Old Trafford away. It gives Robertson the easy enough game at home.
But we got a week between games now. I think you can just go with the same 11 and start building. Look, if you want to go into next season with a bit of confidence.
It's probably the emotional standpoint, though. No, like surely he just plays. And it's not even the like standard Kirkes. I don't really care who plays, but surely he's just going to give Robertson as much time as possible to play before the end of the season.
No, he's not a sentimental manager, mate. Have you watched this season?
I think the only game for that would be the last game where he'll probably start, but I can only see Kirkes starting, so I think it'll be the same.
It's so 50-50. Like I don't see any logic between who he picks, like, for games. Like, my understanding would be like, maybe for the lower intensity games and the pressure's a little bit off, it would be Kirkes. But then for the bigger games, it should be Robertson because you can manage them a little bit more. So I probably would edge it towards Kirkes for this game. But like for United, no, but for this game, no, I do like Kirkes. I think he's a lot to improve on. But like, I think Robertson still has value. I mean, I think big games, he can just manage them so much better. Like the Everton game would be intense, but like he can just calm it down a little bit or raise it up depending on what's needed. Do you know what I mean? I think it would be the same against United.
Yeah, he was good in that game. But then into the midfield, I think I don't want to see McAllister in there at all. I think Gravenberch. No, to be fair, I think Gravenberch has been good against PSG at home, and then I think he was all right against Everton as well. Not anything amazing, but definitely better than he has been. And then I'd have him next to Szoboszlai in like the pivot. I don't know what you guys think.
Nah, I'm spot on with that.
Yeah, I go with that.
Yeah, I've just thought about that now. I was saying put Jones in midfield, but then like where would Szoboszlai go? Because you're not going to go Wirtz left.
Exactly.
Szoboszlai 10. So Yeah, I'd probably agree with you as well. So was like Gravenberch.
And then
Ah,
versus
Jones that.
Do we have to start having difficult conversations about Wirtz?
Yeah, can we play no one as the 10? I'd rather have no 10.
We just play a ghost, so they'll do a better job.
Probably be more visible on the pitch.
I think the front three is pretty obvious as well, to be honest.
Rio,
You go
Isak,
Isak again.
I think Gakpo will start.
Oh really? I thought you were implying
Well, after that
can start.
After that worldie of a performance by Gakpo, I think he has to start. But I personally would go Rio. Again, I know it's a week break, but I think you're not going to give him a better chance to play a game this season than Palace at home until Brentford at home. So I would go with Rio, Isak, Salah, personally, but it's probably not.
Wouldn't be mad at that at all. But
I think there's a conversation to be had about it. I know I've said last week like Isak can probably do one a week, but there's a conversation to be had. He's contributing absolutely nothing, and like Gakpo.
He's also. Oh, I didn't think you'd finish as quick. Sorry. No, I was just gonna say I made the point, and I'm standing by it. Right, you have a player like Isak, but he's getting absolutely no service from both wingers and his 10. So I'm looking at it in a way of like he's also come back from his broken leg. I think it's harsh to put too much criticism on him. Yeah, he probably does have to drop a bit deeper to get the ball back, but he's also not that player, and he's never been that sort of player. Not in Newcastle anyway. I don't think. He can definitely do it 100%, but I wouldn't put too much criticism on him.
His dribbling is underrated. His dribbling is really underrated.
Definitely.
Yeah, but even that's looked poor in recent weeks. Like the few times that he has actually got the ball, like I don't think he's made much impact. Does anyone else agree with that? Or
no, I agree with that. But, I mean,
Who was that?
Isak.
Oh,
Isak, he had the ball, like he got minimal touches in that first half against Everton, didn't he? And he got barely any in the second half too. But he gets one where he's like driving at the Everton defense in the second half, and he just like runs straight into.
Yeah, but that ball from Wirtz wasn't any good though. I don't think there's no weight on the pass, so he's giving him a very like weak ball into the channel, and then he has to try and make something himself with two defenders already closing them down. He's not the quickest player in the world either.
I'm just waiting for that one moment where you're like, there it is. That's the
Spurs moment.
No, but
from that West Ham away onwards, like where he gets that like half chance where he just buries it. I thought, yeah, he's kicking on now, but we just haven't seen it, have we? And like I say, I do think it is down to the service 100%. But then if the service isn't there, do you just give him another cardio session basically against Palace, or do you play Gakpo? Because you think about it, like Gakpo's probably warrants a start from last week, but then, like you say, it's a really good chance to start Ngamo. He's been that man the match in the last 3 times he started. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I think it probably will just be Gakpo, Salah, Isak, but I think you could make a case for Gakpo up front and Rio on the left.
I think that'd be harsh, or not performance-wise, but I think you're looking Palace at home. Good chance for Isak to maybe get his confidence up and obviously build minutes in his legs as well. Because at some point, Gakpo is going to have to move central. Then you're going to have to get Rio on. That's the way I see it. Gakpo, Isak, Salah for the first 60, and then Rio comes off, and Gakpo moves centrally.
I can picture it. We are. I know I'm skipping ahead a week, but I can see us being United at Old Trafford with Isak having a really good performance. Like, do you get that sort of feeling with that sort of game? It's like written in the stars for Isak to score 2, and we just win 4-1 at Old Trafford. Am I just talking shit? Probably it is Arne Slot. Like,
that's an
you said it there.
That is optimistic, but I do think those games are probably better suited for Isak. Those games where people will try and play against us. Like Carrick's not going to sit back. Then we got Villa as well at some point. Like that'll be really good for him. They play high line. So I just question, like, is he going to get on the ball at all against Palace?
True.
He's a really different type of forward, though, isn't he? In comparison to like. I think Núñez was just crazy. He just wanted to be involved in everything. Obviously, Firmino was so good at like picking up play and like creating space for other players. Whereas Isak is just a finisher. You know what I mean, he kind of reminds me a little bit like, I know it's not the same level right now, but like a bit like Torres, where if he got a chance, he'd score. Maybe not as direct as Torres was when he first came to Liverpool, but like that type of player that's just not really involved in the play. And just if you supply him, he will score. But like at the minute, he's just running a little bit dry on the supply side of things.
Yeah.
One big moment for him, one goal in front
Yeah.
of the Kop. Like it could click. That's what I'm hoping for. These last 5 games, hopefully we see something where we're like, okay, next season, get him a pre-season. Obviously, he's going to the World Cup, which ain't ideal, but we need to see the best version of him next season for sure.
100%.
No pressure on him.
But lads, 110 minutes. 110. Yeah, 100. No. 1 hour and 10 minutes. Is that right? Yeah.
1 hour,
70
10
minutes. Yeah, 1 hour, 10 minutes. Folks, that is all from us. If you enjoy the content, make sure to drop a like, subscribe. Score prediction. Sorry. I'm going to go 1-0.
Well, no, I'm going to go 3-2 with Myla Sarbrace.
Oh God, not that guy.
Why would you do that?
No.
Why would you even say
I
that?
forgot about him. Oh, I'm going.
3-2 Liverpool, but it's Myla Sarbrace.
Max is going to predict the loss now.
Yeah, it's all changed now. No, I'm sticking with it. I'm going 2-0 Liverpool.
I'm saying 3-1 Liverpool. Isaac hat-trick.
Comments.
Boom.
Score.
You're cutting out there, Jamie.
Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. We're back here every Monday, every Thursday, 7 o'clock. So yeah, we're trying to make this one of the biggest Liverpool community channels on YouTube. So make sure to drop a like, subscribe. We'll see you all on the next one. Cheers, guys.
Up the Reds, 3 in a row.